I'm Billiam. We are the Digi-Dudes. All right, guys, this week is our Patreon-sponsored episode. And this week's episode is the history of the Olympus 12.
Or also known as the 12 of the 12.
Yeah, why not? All right, so before we do that, we're going to do the squad update you guys on what's going on with us. So, one thing going on with us is Digi-Dude has been really into making his own cartoons lately. And would you guys like to see the debut of Digi-Dude's very first cartoon? Do you want to show them?
Yes!
All right, here we go, guys.
Your time is up, Prince. Goodbye, you monkey.
So that was super cool. Digi-Dude has been having a lot of fun making these cartoons. I'm a huge Vegeta fan, so I thought that was particularly awesome when you decided to do this and come up with this idea.
Yeah, because it was Vegeta beating up Frieza.
Yeah, so Digi-Dude did everything himself except for the actual just compiling the footage. I just did that real quick for him, but he directed me on how he wanted it done and when everything was going to happen. So this is pretty much, it's only like maybe 3% me and then 97% Digi-Dude actually making this cartoon. So that was really cool and awesome.
And I was the voice actor, the director, and the animator.
You were. So if you guys want to see more of these, make sure you let Digi-Dude know down in the comment. You like this cartoon there, and we'll throw some in every so often.
Because I've been already working on a cell one.
You've been working on a bunch of them in the works now, too. For all different things, not just Dragon Ball Z.
Like Sonic!
Yup. And then we'll go into the squad update right now. So who do you have right now, Digi-Dude?
I've got Mr. Nobody!
You have Incomplete Rakusho.
Or a.k.a. Incomplete Nothing.
So Digi-Dude tried getting him like last week, but then left his vital bracelet at home when he went to school and kind of forgot about it. So then he died, and he's retrying again this week because you really want regular Rakusho. You haven't raised him at all yet, right?
Yeah.
So at this point, you're on track and you're set to get Rakusho. So what's going on with me is...
Or a.k.a. for Rakusho.
So for me, I'm actually going through trying to complete my little Digidex here on my Pendulum Z Wingardians. So I got another baby going here. I just raised a Ravemon and filled out some more characters before. And on my VB, it's just easier for me to take it off because I got big arms.
And I got smaller arms.
Versus! Hold on, Digi-Dude. I've got Garurumon Black, or as I prefer to call him, Black Garurumon, just flows better in my opinion. I don't know why they do that.
Or a.k.a. Black Nothing Wolf Nothing Mom.
Let's just throw him into sleep for now, so I don't have to worry about him while we're doing this. Okay, so now let's get right into Olympus 12, because there's so much to cover with them. They are, again, a big group, a lot of history with them, and a lot of tie-ins with them also.
Because there's 13 of them, even if the name has 12.
There's actually 14 Digimon you need to talk about if you're going to be talking about the Olympus 12. And we're going to talk about each one of them individually. We're going to talk about them as a group. And once again, this is a Patreon-sponsored episode brought to you and picked by our Patreon supporter, War. Super awesome dude. Thank you, bud. So, if you guys want to pick the topic for an episode, go check out our Patreon. The link is down in the description there. Find out how you can choose what episodes we do here and there. Right?
And we're still talking about 14 Digimon, even if the Olympus 12 does not say 14, it says 12.
Alright, yeah. So we got to start busting through this to make sure to help keep us on track because we get sidetracked all the time.
And we have to
and we
talk about 13 and 14 Digimon.
Exactly. And so I brought out the tablet with my notes to help me keep on track, and then it also helps as a good visual aid for Digi-Dude. Okay, so talk about the Olympus 12. The Olympus 12 don't actually live in the normal digital world ruled by Yggdrasil. They live in a separate digital world. As we've talked about before, there's multiple digital worlds. A separate one called Iliad. And they are like the royal knights of Iliad. Basically, what it is that Yggdrasil feels like the Olympus 12 do a good job governing their own world, where he doesn't need to involve the royal knights or even get really involved at all with that digital world. But they are a lot less proactive than the royal knights. They kind of just let things unfold, but they each have their own territories throughout their digital world where they govern and just kind of deal with it on their own in those territories.
How about we just talk about one right now?
All right, then. So the first one we're going to talk about is Apollomon. Oh, real quick, silly me. The Olympus 12 are based off of the Roman gods. And each one has their name, again, based off a Roman god, and is supposed to represent a Roman god and an animal, too.
And a lot of these Digimon are gonna be named after different planets because the planets were named after these demigods or whatever.
Exactly. Very true, Devi Dude. So back to Apollomon. Apollomon is the sun. He represents the sun. His animal is a lion, and Apollomon is one of the only Olympus 12 that has a full evolution line going dedicated just to him. And he's one of those flagship Olympus 12s that makes a lot of appearances in different things, different medias, games, anime, and stuff like that. We'll talk about that stuff later when we get to that point.
So he's like, pledge allegiance to me. I am the flag of this flag of the Digimon.
Next one we're going to talk about is Dianamon. Dianamon represents the moon. Her animal is a rabbit. And then, once again, another Digimon that has a full evolution line dedicated to her. Dianamon, like the moon, has a light and dark side to it. So does Dianamon. Dianamon can be ruthless at times, even referred to being cold, because she has powers over ice. And in my opinion, I'd say Dianamon is probably the most popular of the Olympus 12 because she has made the most appearances out of any of the other media. There's another Digimon here or there that might rival her, but I still think she has more of a fan following than any of the other Olympus 12.
Also, is her nickname, Rabbit Digimon?
Honestly, I don't really personally see the rabbit influence in her so much in Dianamon, but her other evolutions leading up to her child, adult, and perfect levels definitely have that strong rabbit influence in them.
But her, she just looks like a moon Digimon. Nowhere near that guy, buddy.
Alright, so the next Digimon we're going to talk about is Bacchusmon.
Or, a.k.a. Snake Giant Monster Digimon.
Not far off. Okay, so Bacchusmon represents wine. This is kind of like his element there. He, again, is the snake Digimon, like every dude said. And Bacchusmon has an alternate form where he doesn't really change so much in appearance. He just kind of gets bigger. The mouth is more like open, but he has these cool, like, kind of tribal designs on him. And I like him. Bacchusmon's a cool Digimon. It's said that the wine he creates comes from his body himself, and that other Digimon of lower levels like to flock to him and celebrate with him. He kind of likes to party a lot, and he likes to share his wine with them. So Bacchusmon's like he's a good Digimon. He likes to kind of protect the weaker, like child and adult levels, and share his wines and spirits with them.
Why are you calling him Giant Snake Monster Digimon? That is his nickname, and it's very funny.
So the next Digimon we're going to talk about is Circemon here. Circemon actually has two forms. It's really one, but we're going to break it down in just a sec here. So she represents harvest and growth. And then animal representing her is a bird. But what you see is this giant flying island bird is what you see. She is massive. But on top of the head, she does have a regular human body. And that's what I'm talking about, that two forms. Technically, they're one, but the regular human body barely ever makes an appearance. She has to be super comfortable with you and like you a lot for you to be able to, for her to come out and show you her true form. She's one of the Olympus 12 that actually doesn't have much combat power. But her massive size and the fact that she can just fly away really lends to her in that aspect there.
And her legs are basically trees that just root into it.
Exactly. She is also very good friends with Bacchusmon. The fruit that Bacchusmon turns into wine is actually grown on her on the flying island. Like on her as in her giant flying bird forest that she is. It's a very rare and special fruit that can only come from her, and his favorite wines he likes to create are from those fruits there. So they are actually very good friends.
So they work together to make wine?
Yeah. Next Digimon we're going to talk about is Marsmon.
Or Panthermon.
Yes, Marsmon is based off of a panther, is her animal, and he represents war, because Mars was the god of war. Marsmon will fight anyone he thinks that he can beat. Marsmon likes to fight hand-to-hand combat, but he's not above using dirty tricks and will pull out little weapons and things off of his body. Yes, Debbie Dude.
Do you think he would be able to defeat Bears the Destroyer God?
I don't know. But Marsmon, like I said, is not above fighting dirty in order to win. He's very prideful in that aspect. But his strongest attacks are actually when he fights barehanded and removes his gloves and weapons. So Marsmon's a cool Digimon. I like him overall. Out of the Olympus 12, though, design-wise, he's kind of like the lower tier in my opinion. That's just me. The next Digimon we're going to talk about is Mercurymon, or Marukimon for the English dub.
Or his nickname, Juicemon.
Mercurymon represents the wolf and diplomacy. Yeah, that's what my notes say. Diplomacy. Sorry, guys. Mercurymon is a shaman-type Digimon, and that knife he carries with him has spiritual powers and energy in it. He's also boasts that he is the fastest Digimon in all of the digital world. And all images, or whenever you stop to talk to Mercurymon, is actually an after image of him. And that he is constantly running all over his digital world and never stops.
So it's kind of like a cheetah?
That would actually be a bit more accurate for him as a cheetah than a wolf, but I do like his wolf design a lot.
Yeah, but he's super fast, so maybe his nickname should be Cheetah Juicemon?
Alright. Now, the next Digimon we're going to talk about is Mervamon.
She has
I'm Digivolving, guys. Let's catch that and see what we get. I knew what we got. Falcomon.
But she has several. What am I saying? She has several forms, but all kind of snaky.
Yes, we'll get into her forms in a sec. We'll first talk about her animal, which is
snake, because one of her forms, she already has a giant snake arm.
And then what she represents is strategic warfare. Mervamon is very intelligent when it comes down to battle, even though she is small, and that she's kind of like fun-loving. She is a very smart tactician and extremely strong. Don't forget, all of the Olympus 12 are all ultimate level Digimon, or Mega for the dubs, level Digimon. So they're all incredibly strong Digimon.
Also, one of her forms, Freddy, has her eyes covered in a snake helmet.
Yes. One of her forms, she kind of grows up and has more of a feminine look, a more luxurious look there to her, and a snake arm, basically because she becomes envious of another one of the Olympus 12 and her beauty, and decides that she wants to emulate her in that aspect and wants to become more beautiful and more adult-like. Mervamon is also the only one of the Olympus 12, as of right now, that has an X-antibody form. And in her X-antibody form, her two pigtails there actually have living heads on them that help fight with her. And she's actually smaller, and her sword is much bigger. And it's kind of funny. She's really cool.
So her sword is like compared to her sword is like this big, and compared to the sword, she's like this big.
Yep. Now, the next Digimon we're going to talk about is Neptunemon. Neptunemon represents a fish, and his territory is the sea.
And he's also named Fish Sea Juicemon.
Neptunemon is the fastest Digimon in the water. There is no Digimon in the water that can compete with his speed. Neptunemon also has a castle in the deepest parts of the oceans on his digital world, and it's said that Neptunemon won't respect any other Digimon who can't go to his castle, because the intense pressure in the bottom of the ocean there would destroy any weak Digimon. Their body would just collapse into itself. So you have to be a very powerful Digimon to even be able to approach his castle.
Because it's at the bottom of the ocean, and bottom of the ocean, if you came in submarine, it would slowly just crumble and crumble and crumble until it is smushed like a pancake.
Yup. Alright, the next Digimon we're going to talk about is Venusmon. Venusmon represents a dove, and her territory or her aspect is love. This is the Digimon that Mervamon became envious of, because she's said to be the most beautiful Digimon in all of the digital world. And she has a devout following of Digimon that are absolutely in love with her and would do anything for her. Part of the reason that she is blindfolded like that is to cover her beauty, because it's so intense, Digimon can't stop but fall in love with her. And then by covering her eyes like that, she increases her kind of like a psychic sense around her, and she's able to see and sense everything going on around her. And by covering her eyes like that, kind of the idea of heightening your other senses and abilities. She's not a fan of fighting, so all of her techniques are based around neutralizing her opponents by having them fall in love with her and giving up the will to fight. Yeah. You like it?
Yes.
All right, so this is actually my favorite of the Olympus 12.
It looks like a space spider.
This is Volcanismon. Volcanismon, his animal is an octopus, and he represents smithing or smithery, the act of actually crafting and making things. If you guys don't know, I am a huge hands-on person. I love building. My father is a mechanic and a metal fabricator. I grew up in a shop, metal fabrication shop. I'm skilled in building and welding, and I'm constantly making things. And it's just a general need of mine. I need to keep my hands moving. So this is why he is my favorite of the Digimon. I've done forging in the past, and I love it. I have my own forge. Volcanismon has made some of the most powerful weapons in all of the digital world. Beauzamon's twin shotguns are actually made by Volcanismon. Sparrowmon's little laser guns are made by Volcanismon. And Astromon, I always have a hard time pronouncing his name. Astromon, the really awesome wolf-looking guy with the Tommy gun, his gun is also made by Volcanismon. Volcanismon will only make a weapon for a Digimon that he feels is worthy and who would also have appreciation for the weapon he creates for them, and thinks that they'll be able to grow in strength with the weapon itself. So, those three Digimon were dubbed worthy by Volcanismon for him to create them their own special weapon, where they think they can enhance their ability and bring out the true potential of his weapon. Alright, Devi Dude, flip it to the next Digimon. There you go. This Digimon is Junomon. Junomon, it represents marriage and childbirth. Her animal is a peacock, and Junomon is madly in love with Jupitermon, which we will get to in a second. Junomon, if she is not within presence of Jupitermon, she goes into this blind rage and her form changes, and she will straight up murk anything around her until she is back in his presence again, where she calms down and becomes her normal self. All right, Debbie Dude, flip it. Now we're talking about Jupitermon here. Jupitermon represents lightning, the sky, and his animal is an owl. Jupitermon is the leader of the Olympus 12, and Jupitermon will strike down any evil he can find.
And
Jupitermon represents justice at the same time. And if you are a bad Digimon, if you've done something wrong, doesn't matter what it is or how little it was, he will exact justice upon you. Jupitermon also has an alternate form where he's a bit more powerful there. And yes.
Also, I like this form of him.
You like his regular form?
Yeah.
I do too.
He looks cool. He looks like a superhero.
He does kind of have a superhero look about him.
He kind of looks like Iron Man.
Like who?
Iron Man.
Oh yeah. And Jupitermon will, if you don't agree with his judgment, he will also allow someone to fight him to overturn his judgment. If you beat him in combat, he will then decide that he was wrong and then go and no longer exact judgment, murder them. But at the other hand, Jupitermon has never lost in combat. That has never happened. All right, so that is the Olympus 12. And now we're going to start talking about a couple of Digimon that are strongly related to the Olympus 12. All right, Debbie Dude, flip it. The next Digimon here is Plutomon. You cannot talk about the Olympus 12 without talking about Plutomon.
He is the bad guy and the most coolest one of them all.
He's not actually the bad guy, believe it or not. So, I definitely agree with you, he's the coolest one of them all. Plutomon represents the underworld. That is his territory. If in the regular digital world, the dark area is like hell, his territory is their digital world's version of hell. Yes, Debbie Dude.
So he's like kind of the god of the underworld for them.
Exactly. Plutomon represents, his animal is a hound or a canine, and the reason Plutomon's not actually part of the Olympus 12, because he will exact justice and kill any evil that he finds, just like Jupitermon, but he takes pleasure in torturing them. He doesn't just kill them on the spot like Jupitermon would. He will capture them and then torture them until they finally eventually die of the pain or dismemberment or whatever he does. It's said that when Plutomon gets in that mode where he wants to kill and torture, you could hear all the little mouths on his body start chattering, the teeth start chattering all over his body, and it's one of the most terrifying sounds in the digital world, it's said. Because of this, though, Plutomon is judged as evil by Jupitermon, and Plutomon and Jupitermon are constantly at war with each other because Plutomon doesn't think that he's wrong because he's destroying and spiting evil, but Jupitermon feels like he is wrong because he's torturing and causing even more pain than he needs to.
Yeah, because if you're done at least to kill a Digimon, you don't have to torture them until they die. You can just straight just kill them like Beerus.
Exactly. So, Plutomon feels like he should be part of the Olympus 12, but Jupitermon won't let him join because he feels the way he goes upon things is evil. Now, the next Digimon we're going to talk about is Titamon. Titamon represents the Titans.
Or evil Titans.
So, Titamon is actually born of all of the Digimon's was animosity and hatred that were killed by the Olympus 12. So basically the idea is all of their data or spirits or souls that were all killed by the Olympus 12 that hated them afterwards all came together to form one Digimon, Titanmon there. Titanmon was actually his original design of him was supposed to be for Bacchusmon, but they felt like it didn't fit and they wanted to have this type of Digimon as like part of the whole Olympus 12 lore. So they repurposed them and changed them just a little bit. Originally, they had like big jugs of wine on his shoulders that were removed and put spikes there. And they added his giant greatsword made out of a Skull Greymon head, which is like one of the most BA weapons in all of the digital world, in my opinion. A giant sword made out of a Skull Greymon head is amazing.
Yeah.
So, now we've gone through and talked about all of the Olympus 12, the related Digimon to them. One more fact about Titanmon. He is, and the fact that he is made of hatred and animosity and sorrow, and he is constantly trying to kill and destroy the Olympus 12. He will gather other weaker Digimon with him as like amass an army to try to take them down.
So he's technically the bad guy?
Exactly. He's technically the bad guy of the Olympus 12.
But sometimes if he tricked
Flip
him...
it. There we do.
But if he tricked Plutomon into working with him, I think that would probably work because Plutomon is kind of a bad guy because he's a torturer.
Yeah, but at the same time, Plutomon would want to destroy Titanmon because he wants to destroy evil.
Oh.
Yup. Alright, so now there's one more. So actually 15 Digimon you need to talk about.
The living galaxy.
Yes, he is. The last Digimon we're going to talk about is Grace Novamon.
Can I
Grace Novamon.
Because my arm is hurting now.
What?
Can I doubt this? My arm is hurting now.
Yeah, no one told you had to hold the tablet, Debbie dude. You just wanted to. Alright, Grace Novamon is a jog rest between Apollomon and Dianamon. So bringing the moon and the sun together creates Grace Novamon, a Digimon so powerful that it's said that it is a living galaxy, because within its cape there you can see those stars and that black void there. That is an actual separate galaxy inside of its own body. Grace Novamon is one of, hands down, the most powerful Digimon in the digital world.
So he can destroy anyone just with one snap?
I don't know if he would snap to destroy them, but he can murk almost every Digimon. Definitely true.
Even Titanmon?
I definitely think Titanmon, yeah. But Digimon like Alphamon or like Loosemon, got like super OP Digimon like them, would give him a hard time.
Like, oh, how about all of the X version of all of the Sun Demon Lords all together?
Yeah, I definitely think he'd have a hard time with them. Okay, so now we're going to move on to virtual pets here. Because there's so many of them, they all have made appearances here or there. So we're just going to go through different devices and mention the ones that are on those devices. All right, so on the virtual pets, we're going to start with the Digital Monster version 20. There is Dianamon there, Apollomon, Grace Novamon, and Titanmon. There's different versions, as most of you guys know, of the version 20. There's an A, B, C, D, and E. And C and D are the Apollomon and Dianamon versions, where they are the special eggs for those ones. So if you have one of those versions, you can unlock the special egg with them, raise them, and then you can also jog rest them together to create Grace Novamon. Titanmon is on all those versions there.
Titanmon? So the bad guy can better them?
Yep. And then we're going to switch over to the Volcanic Beats dim on the Vital Bracelet. On that dim, you can raise Marsmon.
Of course, because he's the fire one.
You're right. Then we're going to go over to the Infinite Tide dim, where you can raise Neptunemon there.
Because he's sweater.
Yep. Then we're going to go to the True Shadow Hal dim, and you can raise Mercurymon there.
Because he is darkness.
No, it's because he's a wolf.
Oh, yeah.
is why in True Shadow house all those beast-type Digimon.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
That's
that.
actually the dim I have right now going, is the True Shadow Howl dim.
Get him!
Alright, now on the DMX-1, you can raise Mervamon there. And that's where she gets that X antibody. Then also, you can also raise all these same, not all of them, but most of these same Digimon on the XL and the Twin. So, now that we talked about virtual pets, let's jump over to video games. So, the only video games we're actually going to talk about in this are Digimon Story, which that's what they're called in Japan. In English, it's Digimon World Dusk and Dawn, or Digimon World for the DS. But in Japan, it was under the title Digimon Story. And we're going to talk about those because those actual gameplays, the whole plot and story is based around the Olympus 12. So if you really want to play and learn more about them, that is a great games. They're all really fun. I played them back in the day when they first came out. I wish I owned them now, so I can go back and play them again. But they're great games, and they all are based, the storyline is about the Olympus 12. And if you look there on the covers there, you see Dianamon and Apollomon's child levels on the cover there, on the Dawn and the Dusk versions. And then another reason I want to bring this up and mention them is because at Digimon Con, it was mentioned that they're going to be coming out with another game in this series. Will also be focusing on the Olympus 12, like the other ones. So, keep your eyes open. Digimon, Bandai hasn't actually announced it yet when it's going to be coming out, but they did say it will be coming. So, keep an eye out for the game. The last thing we're going to talk about is anime appearances.
Did Plutomon appear in it? Because I have a feeling he did.
No, Plutomon has not appeared in any anime, but there's Digimon like Mercurymon, as we mentioned, had an English dub. His name was changed because he had a large part of Digimon Data Squad, or Digimon Savers. He's a mate in the beginning of the story. He is the major villain for there, which is kind of weird because they always showed him in his like little hideout cave thing there, sitting down, because it's not fitting for his character because he's constantly running and moving. But he was a large part of it.
Was Titanmon here? Because he's normally the bad guy.
In those games, yeah, Titanmon's in there too. And then we also had Apollomon showing up in Digimon Cross Wars there too. So they've made, and a bunch of them here and there have, those are really the ones. It's Dianamon, Apollomon, and Mercurymon are the only ones who really make appearances in the animes or mainstream media for Digimon. Like I said, between Apollomon and Dianamon, they're definitely the most popular of them. I still think Dianamon is, because you see more things with her in it, and fans seem to like her the most out of all of them. But that's going to be it for the Olympus 12. They're a really interesting group, and they're really awesome. Honestly, we can do an entire episode on each one of them, and there's plenty to talk about. Every one of them are really amazing Digimon.
Well, we didn't talk that much because we were talking about
15 Digimon in total, actually, when you counted Grace Novamon.
And 15 is much more than one episode.
Exactly. It's a whole lot to cover in one episode. If you guys made it this far, I greatly appreciate it. And if you have, please make sure you Giga Blast that like button.
And touch the subscribe button down below. Also, if we talked about everything about them in one episode, that would be like a couple of hours.
And pretty much, yeah. And as you guys know, Digi-Dudes and I can talk. All right, guys. We greatly appreciate every one of you for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. You're all amazing. Thank you so much. I did say watching. Special thank you to all of our amazing Patreon supporters over here. You guys are sweet. You guys are awesome. I love chatting with everybody in our Patreon Discord. It's great to be able to talk to everybody on a personal level, get to know everybody who watches regularly there, and to let you guys know what's happening with the channel, what new things we're doing, special giveaways that are be coming up soon, talking about that with everybody in there. Different episode ideas. I like to soundboard things that are going on with us, what I want to do here with the channel off everybody there, and get some great feedback of what you guys would actually want to see. So, if you guys want to help support the channel, talk with us some more, go check out our Patreon. Link is down in the description. Especially if you guys want to pick a topic for an episode. Again, special thank you to just everybody. You're all amazing. The Digimon community is the best community ever. If you guys want to just have any questions or just chat with me, go hit me up on Instagram. It's always the easiest. And I live on Instagram. Go check us out there too. Alright, you guys know it all. You've heard it a million times if you made it this far in the episode. As always, from me, my family, to you, have a Digitastic day!